This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. We are joined by Mr. Patrick Rigney, who is joining us from what looks like a moving car somewhere in northwestern Ireland.
Good to be here.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today. We are here today to speak about uh, something I'm rather partial to. That is your Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin. I was sent these samples earlier this year, and these are actually my second bottles because I finished the original samples. I enjoyed them so much. So, if you don't mind, I'd love to get a little bit of a potted history of how the brand came to be.
Well, I mean, the background, I suppose, to the distillery and the whole thing is that I have been traveling huge distances, I guess, for many, many years. Um, and during that time, obviously, I was very curious, traveling all over the world, and eventually came to set up a distillery in Drumshanbo, which is in a very wild and rural place in northwest Ireland. And our first brand in the Shed Distillery, where we produce, is Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin. So it's really collecting botanicals from China with gunpowder tea, working our all the way back to Ireland, and with the last ingredient, meadowsweet. And we distill everything and bottle everything at the distillery in Drumshanbo. We distill for 9 hours. We rest for 21 days. We leave the essential oils in the gin. We do a very light cold filtration, and it's very exotic. It's very fresh, and it's distilled essentially with Oriental botanicals, gunpowder tea, and fresh citrus. We use fresh citrus in the vapor basket. So that's basically it. And the idea is when you get, from the beginning of your cocktail to the end of your cocktail, you're enjoying the same experience all the way through.
Excellent. Now, what was it that drew you to gin? I know that many distilleries, when they set up, do start to make gin, but were you a big gin fan previously?
Absolutely. So we're a gin distillery that produces Irish whiskey. We're not a whiskey distillery
Ah,
that
I
produces
see.
gin. So we're very much focused on gin production, and Drumshanbo Gunpowder being our lead brand, and it's presented in a very stylish bottle that reflects the quality of everything that we do. Um, and our whole goal is to produce the best possible gin in the world, the best experience in the world, to give consumers a real story behind the brand that is real, but is also exciting and interesting and exotic. And that's why we do everything ourselves. And the Curious Mind is myself who created the brand, PJ Rigney. You see it on the bottle, from the Curious Mind. Although you don't see me,
Right.
you certainly know that I exist and that
Yeah.
there is real adventure and excitement in putting this brand together.
And what is the story behind this curious creature we see upon both of the labels I have here?
Well, that's a jackalope, and I guess it reflects the kind of the curiosity of myself and there's a bit of a myth about the jackalope in and around the area of our distillery. And it's there to really, I suppose, signify a little bit of fun and a little bit of mystery, but also create an icon that people can recognize the brand for.
Now, when was the brand established and how has it grown since its inception?
The brand was established in 2016, so it's still a relatively young brand. And today we'd be in roughly position seven or eight globally in terms of premium international gin. And each year we've grown. Um, so we've grown quite dramatically. And we started with one employee. We now have 100,
Hmm.
which is fairly substantial. But we have 100 because we continue to make it in a very traditional way in
Right.
pot stills. Um, we haven't changed that. We pack everything ourselves on site. We also have a wonderful tour for visitors. They can actually come and really get into the distillery. They can experience the brand, the curious journey. We have a wonderful Jackalope Cafe. We have a wonderful Honey Badger Bar. We have a wonderful gift shop. And we've just created a nature reserve nearby, 80 acres, preserving that for all time. So, and we're based at a social enterprise. So the location is owned by the community and we built it for the community and we lease it from them. So it's an interesting experiment, I would say.
Superb, superb. And where are your biggest markets for this one, the Gunpowder Irish Gin, your
Yeah, I
flagship?
mean, we Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin in the blue iconic bottle. That I mean, the United States is obviously a very big market by
Right.
its sheer size. Um, Continental Europe, Ireland, UK, but Canada is a very important market.
Oh, great.
We've been embraced in Canada, in Ontario, but right across Canada from Quebec all the way to British Columbia. And we're thrilled with the way the brand has been received there. And it seems that consumers of gin in Canada are very discerning. They're looking for something interesting with a story, with some real emotion behind it, but also very high quality. And we seem to have resonated very well in Canada.
I feel that perhaps Canada was a little bit late to the party when it came to premium gins, because we've only really seen those come into the Canadian and the Ontario market over the last decade. Whereas I know there have been a lot of premium gins on the shelves of bars and the like in Europe for quite some time. But it's nice to see another one like this. And I have to say, when I got this bottle earlier in the year, I took it to a music festival I was at and set up a little bar in the back of my car, and it went down really, really well. It was the first time people had had a chance to taste this, and it really was quite something on a lovely, very, very hot Ontario summer day. How do you tend to enjoy this yourself? What's your favorite way to enjoy this?
Oh, I enjoyed in so many different ways, but probably the simplest way for me is with a lot of ice, red grapefruit, big slice of red grapefruit,
Lovely.
and some good tonic, and it's just very refreshing, very easy to drink. I love a Negroni as well, but I just love it that way, the more traditional way in this part of the world.
Now, are you a lemon or a lime man when it comes to a gin and tonic? Oh, you did say pink, red grapefruit there, but
Yeah, red grapefruit is our preference. In fact, it's our suggested signature.
I see. Ah,
Uh, you know, that would go with it. I mean, it's not available everywhere, but it does bring out. It draws out the flavor in Drumshanbo Gunpowder, so it goes really well with it.
super, super. And this brings us to this special edition we have here, the Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin with Sardinian citrus. How does this, in your mind, what's the idea of how this differentiates itself from your blue bottle gin?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, Jamie, and that is exactly the same gin, except following a visit to Sardinia, I came across a fruit called Citrus monstrosa, and the Citrus monstrosa grows high up in the mountains in Sardinia. It's generally harvested around this time of year. Looks like a lemon, tastes more like a grapefruit.
Right.
And we just added that to the original recipe, and it just gives it a more yummy, um, maybe a slightly sweeter taste. And it's just, depending on your mood, it's very nice in the summertime.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and that's how that emanated. So it's really given the curious mind permission to travel to other places.
I hear you. It's interesting because they're obviously cut from the same cloth. You said it's the same gin with the addition of the
Exactly.
Sardinian citrus, but it does bring a kind of lightness, a lift to the gin, I believe, which is why I think it would be great during the summer for sure.
I think so. And it also, we describe it as an expression rather than a flavor.
Right.
So it's just a new expression of the brand.
How many other different gins do you produce at the distillery?
Well, we added about 2 years ago the original gin plus California orange.
Oh,
So and that
yes.
that that has been really interesting. We've had a great response to that. And then more recently with Brazilian pineapple, and
Oh,
that's actually doing incredibly well. Pineapple, I guess, is an interesting flavor. It's a difficult one to work with, so when we distill, we have to do it in a particular way in order to ensure that the flavor comes through, that we don't lose it during the process. Um, but we're delighted with that as well. So, you can have your traditional, original Drumshanbo gunpowder, depending on your mood. If you're in a fun mood or you want to, you know, maybe a pineapple-y mood,
Right.
you can go for that one.
Superb. Well, Pat, I really appreciate you joining us at Good Food Revolution today while you're on your drive. You're in Dublin, I think?
Yes, I'm just heading back to Drumshanbo, back
Ah,
to
there
the
you go.
northwest.
How long is that drive?
It's 2 hours. Yeah,
2 hours.
2 hours, and I got delayed. But it's wonderful to be talking to you and to your listeners and viewers in Canada. It's a place that's very close to our heart over here.
Super. Well, hopefully we'll see you over in Canada at some point for a little tipple of one of your excellent gins. And until then, drive safely and have a great Christmas and New Year.
Same to you and to all your listeners and viewers.
Super. Take care. Safe drive. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.